Good morning, everybody. Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace, coming to you with another episode of the Hoop Hogs Video Mailbag, where you ask me an Arkansas basketball-related question, and I do my best to answer it for you. So let's get right into it. With today's question, it comes from Kingsley. And first of all, I want to give a shout out to Kingsley. He's been a big-time follower and supporter of ours for a while now. Got the opportunity to hang out with him and his bride in Arlington for the baseball deal back in February. Just really, really solid people. Happy to know you and happy to call you a friend and really appreciate the question. I'm excited to get to it. Kingsley says, who is the most improved player going into next year who benefits from the college game and grows the most? Man, I've got a few different answers here. So to give you a direct answer to your question, I'm going to say it's Big Z. Reason being, it was just such a tough and weird situation for him in his freshman year at Kentucky. You know, he was a late addition to the roster, obviously came from overseas. Once he got there, had the eligibility issues where they were trying to get him cleared through the NCAA and allowed to play. The whole deal where Big Blue Nation put up a billboard in Indianapolis by the NCAA headquarters or whatever, trying to force their hand. So it was a long waiting game for him. I know he had an illness that he dealt with, a stomach bug or something going on. And then he wound up not even being able to join the team on the floor until like mid-January. And we know, I mean, you think about Nick Smith being injured and trying to, get reintegrated with the team, after they'd already played several games. It's just a tough situation to be in. And that was the case for Big Z. But if you watched his debut against Georgia and what he was able to do, I think you quickly saw the upside that he has. Now, a lot of things to work on. He's got to get stronger, play more physical. He's got to be better in pick and roll defense, all those things. But when you're 7'2", and you can move the way he does, and you can shoot threes, and you can pass, he's very, very skilled at that size. And now he's able to be comfortable. He's a year into a system with John Calipari and that coaching staff, a lot of familiarity. He's had a full off season of strength and conditioning in the weight room, skill development. I think he's a guy who's going to take a big leap forward. And I don't look at Big Z as Jonas Aidoo's backup. And a good SEC backup. I look at him as a guy who could be an impact player and, maybe even push for like a 6 man of the year type of role. I think he's going to be really, really good. Adut Thiero is probably another good answer to that question. People have him mocked as a potential first round pick in 2025. And this is a dude who averaged 7 points and 5 boards at Kentucky last year, but people think he's getting ready to pop. And that 3-point jumper, which there's some potential in, that could be what sets him over the top. So that's who I think will be the most improved Razorback going into the season. But I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about who needs to be the most improved Razorback going into this season. And I think it's DJ Wagner. And I think it's so crucial that he is the most improved player. Or I'll tell you this, we're talking about MIPs. He might be the most important player for the Razorbacks. How about that? With DJ, if he makes that leap from freshman year to sophomore year, people say you make your biggest development from year 1 to year 2 and really comes into his own. I just think it changes the ceiling for this Razorback team so much. I really do. We're talking about a guy who was a 5-star heralded recruit. People thought he was going to be a one and done, just that next Kentucky guard to really make a name for himself. And he was fine, solid for a freshman, but he fell short of those expectations. And he's got some things that he has to work on. But here's what you don't want if you're Arkansas this season. You don't want the same questions with DJ Wagner at Arkansas that he had at Kentucky last year. Why the hell is he starting over Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepherd? You don't want to hear, well, why is he starting over Boogie Flan and whoever else? You want him to cement his spot and become an experienced lead guard in the SEC, who's an improved version of himself. I mean, he averaged 10 points, 3.3 assists per game as a frosh in the SEC last year. That's solid, but we know there are things that he can work on to improve and take the next step and could really elevate himself into one of the better backcourt players in this conference. And he needs to be healthy. Like I worry about that ankle because I know that it's something that bothered him last season. It's something that's lingered through the summer. How close to 100% is he? You really need that ankle to be as healthy as possible. Obviously, you need better efficiency out of DJ Wagner. He doesn't turn it over a bunch, so I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about shooting wise. he's wired to score, right? And so he's a guy who can really finish, getting to the rim, which is good. He's got a strong physical frame. I like all that. He shot 28% from three, and you don't want to dare opponents to be able to go under ball screens and not be able to make them pay for it, especially if you're in a league guard role where you're going to be handling it and pick and rolls. So can he take that 28% three-point shooting and bump it up to 33? And I use that number because looking at last year, he made about a 3 per game. But if he would have made 4 more of the three-pointers that he attempted over the course of a 30-some-odd game season, then he would have gone from 28% to 33%. It's not that much to go from, ooh, that's below average. You want to get that up to, hey, you know what? That was a pretty solid freshman year, right? So I think it's reasonable, an expectation, right, for him to kind of move up into that. And Arkansas is going to be a team that's looking for some consistency and some reliability when it comes to perimeter shooting. So I think he's a guy that they need to step up and help him with that. The other thing, and I've heard this from enough national folks now that it's got me wondering about it. How will he be able to coexist, sharing the backcourt with Nelly Davis? I've heard Jeff Goodman talk about it. I've heard Matt Norlander talk about it. And it is a fascinating question because these are two backcourt players who are wired to score. They like to have the ball in their hands. They're bucket getters. And, how does that work in terms of chemistry, flow in the offense, and everything like that? You can have multiple scorers on the floor, but can you have two ball dominant guards in your backcourt? So what I wonder about with DJ Wagner is, in my opinion, can he embrace being the Robin to Nelly Davis's Batman? Because if he can, then I think you got a heck of a 1-2 punch in the backcourt for the Razorbacks. I think there's something to be said for sacrificing a little bit on the volume, the shot taking attempts. He's still going to score. I think DJ is going to be a double digit scorer for Arkansas for sure. I feel confident in saying that. But are you willing to sacrifice a little bit in terms of the shot taking to become more of a well-rounded playmaker? Because that is the one thing that you hear people talking about with Arkansas talking heads saying, well, they've got all these pieces, they've got talent, they've got guys who can score it, this and that, but do they really have the table setter? And Boogie Flan could be that guy, but then you're relying on a true freshman to really be the leader and the initiator of the offense. And they also need him to be a knockdown shooter. DJ is a guy who, like I said, wired to score, but he did average over 3 assists per game. Can he bump that up? So can he take less shots but be more efficient in scoring? And then can he take that assist rate from 3.3 a game to maybe over 4 a game and be more of a table setter for the team? I think if he's able to do that, and he doesn't need to be DeJuan Harris and have 8 assists per game and only take 4 shots. No, not saying that at all. But can he strike a balance there to where it works out and doesn't get clunky with him and Nelly Davis in the backcourt? So if he can do that and improve in those areas, I think that really, really helps Arkansas a ton. So appreciate the question there, Kingsley. I know you got a few more, some zingers in there that I'm looking forward to getting to. But folks, keep the questions coming. We're trying to have one of these a day posted. We put them out about 8 o'clock every morning. So make sure you get subscribed to our YouTube channel, Inside Arkansas. Follow the playlist, the Hoop Hogs Video Mailbag, and you'll be able to see these hit your feed bright and early every morning. If you're wondering how to get the questions in, my Twitter profile, @KurtWilkerson, I've got a thread, or @KurtWilkerson _. That underscore is important now, okay? So don't forget that. But I've got a thread pinned to my profile where you can drop in the comments and add the questions. And if you watch these videos on YouTube, just throw your questions in there. I go back and check those comments, read the comments, and make a list of the questions that come through. Like I said, we want to have one of these every single day leading up to the season. I think we're well on our way to doing that. But we're going to get out of here. We'll be back for another one tomorrow. Appreciate everybody for the engagement, the interaction. It's very, very cool, fun stuff, good times. Everybody's excited about Razorback basketball. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod at the Palace, and we will catch you guys again in the morning.